A Paradise Called Texas by Janice Jordan Scheffelman. Chapter 7. A Lonely Coast. For 3 days the coastal steamer chugged along the flat coast of Texas, black smoke pouring out of its smokestack. 2 giant paddle wheels on either side of the steamer splashed noisily, pushing her through the water, and the 2 square sails fore and aft filled with the easterly wind. Mina was hungry. The only food on the ship was bread and warm water for coffee. Mama had bought some provisions in Galveston, but Mina longed for a cup of milk and some cheese to go with the bread. "Papa, will there be food for us when we get to Indian Point?" "Yeah, sure, Mina." He was sitting on a box cleaning his shotgun. "The Varan will have a place for us to eat and stay the night." Mina liked this shiny new gun of Papa's with a polished wooden stock. She ran her finger along the cold, smooth barrels. No Indian would bother them with such a protector. "Papa, could you teach me to shoot your gun?" Papa stopped cleaning and looked at Mina. "Now, my Klein Mina, whatever would you need to shoot a gun for?" There was a hint of a smile on the right side of his wide mouth. "Well, Papa, suppose there was an Indian who was not friendly, and suppose you were out in the field somewhere. What would Mama and I do?" Mina waited a moment to see if Papa would say something, but he just looked at Mina with a sort of sad, faraway look in his eyes. Then he took a deep breath. "Very well, Mina, I will show you." He handed the gun to Mina, and she put the wooden stock against her right shoulder and looked down the barrels, squinting her left eye. She aimed toward the ship's rail. "Now, find something to steady your aim, Mina." She knelt beside one of their boxes and put her arm on top. "Pull the hammer back to full cock and center the front sight." With the constant motion of the ship, it was hard to hold the bead in the center. "I have it, Papa." "All right, now squeeze the front trigger slowly." Mina squeezed, and the hammer clicked against the cap. "When we are on shore, I will show you how to load it, Mina." What would little Angelica do if she knew Mina was learning to fire a shotgun? The thought of the look on her face made Mina giggle. In the afternoon, a cold wind began to blow from the north as the steamer entered Matagorda Bay. It was a flat, empty coastline. No trees, no houses. Mina, Papa, and Mama stood with the Kaufmans watching this lonely coastline. Mina was warmly bundled with a woolen scarf on her head. Suddenly, around a bend in the distance, Mina saw people on the beach and an assortment of tents. "Papa, Papa, look!" Mina pointed toward the beach. "Indian Point," a sailor cried out. "Those people must be Germans from other ships," said Papa. "But why are there so many?" Mina looked up at him for an answer. "Ernst, what does it mean?" Mama asked. "Now mention, do not fret. We may have to camp here for a day or two, but everything will be all right." Papa's face had a worried look, as though he did not really believe his own words. As they drew near the beach in the rowboat, Mina snuggled between Papa and Mama. Johanna was buttoned inside her coat. People gathered at the landing spot, watching solemnly. The boat's bow ran up into the beach, and the oarsman jumped out and pulled it further onto land. "We sure do not need any more hungry Germans here," a grim-faced man shouted. "Oh, be quiet, Herman," said another. "He is right, of course. You will go back to Germany if you know what is good for you." Mina looked at the group gathered on the beach. Their faces were haggard. She pulled her coat more tightly around her. Come now. What kind of welcome is that?" asked a man who began to help unload the boxes. When the unloading was finished, Papa shook hands with the kind man. "Many thanks. I am Ernst Jordan from Wurst, and this is my wife and my daughter Mina. My name is Peter Bauer from Ebstorf." He put his other hand over Papa's as they shook. "Maybe we should have all stayed back in Germany." "What has happened?" asked Papa. "Where's the Varan?" "Ah, well, we do not know," Herr Bauer said with a deep sigh. "A month we have been here, and no wagons have come to carry us inland. It is not good." Mina looked around at the camp. The tents were lonely and drab, flapping in the wind. Some were merely bedspreads or tablecloths stretched over branches. "Papa, I want to go home to Germany. I do not like Texas." But she knew with a sinking feeling that they could not go back. You know we cannot go back to Germany, so first we shall make a shelter, and then we shall see." Somehow Papa's words made Mina feel better, more hopeful. Herr Bauer loaned Papa a shovel and helped them dig a rectangular hole in the ground. Mina and Mama packed the dirt into low walls. "Well, there's one thing to be thankful for," said Herr Bauer. "We have fresh meat for the catching. Fish, turtles, prairie chicken. You will become a hunter very quickly, Herr Jordan," he chuckled. Papa stopped digging for a moment. "Yeah, you see, Minchin, it is a good thing I bought the shotgun." Mama did not reply, but went on packing the walls. It was nearly dark by the time they covered it over with brush and small branches. Mama took out the gray blanket that had hung across the compartment in the Margaretha. It now became the roof of the dugout. Mina had to crawl inside like a wild animal. It was dark and damp, but at least out of the wind. "Minchin, do we still have some food in the box?" Papa asked. "Ja, Ernst, we have dried fruit and ship biscuits, but not much." "Then that will have to do." Papa turned to Mina. "Tomorrow, Mina and I will catch some fish, somehow." "But Ernst, how long must we stay here camped in this hovel?" Mama asked. "I do not know, Minchin, but God will see us through." "I knew we should not have come to this wilderness, Ernst, and now see what misery we have found." Mama put her face in her hands and began to weep silently. "Minchin, you must do your part. God helps those who help themselves." He put his hand gently on the back of her golden hair. Mama straightened up suddenly. "I should not have listened to you. That would have been my part." Her eyes were brimming with tears. "What did you know about Texas? What did anyone know?" Mina crawled out of the tent and put her hands over her ears. A light rain had begun to fall. She looked along the curving coastline cluttered with the motley tents. There was one small house in the distance, a farmer's house, Mina guessed, and other than that, nothing for as far as she could see but flat land and scattered small ponds. "Mina," Papa came out of the tent. "Come, you must not catch cold. Come inside the tent." The tent did not look cozy, but there was nowhere else to go. Inside, Mama had spread blankets. Mina lay down on the hard, cold ground and pulled the blankets around her. She wished she were back in Opa's warm, cheery house.